so what we did with Ball Boys. Actually, I couldn't hear it. Yeah. Okay,
That's a bit behind. G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we're reviewing last night's game, talking through trade targets, getting our captains ready. Let's go!
Just done it from nowhere. Hoisted the goal from inside the field. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Round Petty. Petrarca. Oh wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey. You can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy, joined once again by Luke. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm going good. We're live again.
Second live show for the channel here.
Anything could happen, mate. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. The last
this
one
is wild.
Look, there was a few issues with the most recent podcast, but our last live show went okay, I thought. So
Yeah, not too bad. So we're still ironing out some technical glitches, we'll be honest, but we're trying to bring you something that is enjoyable. So I think today we're hoping to have the live comments coming up on the screen for us, and we're hoping to reach our subscriber number as well. Talk
we
about
are
that.
6 subscribers away. Are we going to hit it on this live show? We're at 994 subscribers.
Yeah.
Guys, if we don't walk away with 1,000 subscribers after today's live show, I'll be honest, I'll be a little upset. So if you guys haven't subscribed already, go and hit that subscribe button. You'll get a nice big shout out on the podcast as well. And, if you happen to be the lucky 1,000th follower or subscriber, looks like
looks good. Looks like we've got comments popping up on the screen. So hopefully, if you comment, you'll get a bit of a shout out there. And like you said, subscribers. I think we're close. We're like 5 off or something.
6. Yeah, we're 6 subscribers off. 994.
Okay. So if you're listening along and you haven't subscribed, jump on, because like Mitch said, I think something even pops up on the screen. So it's real whiz bang stuff in here, isn't it?
Oh mate, we're just tech geniuses up in here.
Yeah, mate.
But let's talk some fantasy.
Well, before we talk fantasy, though, obviously we had a game last night. We'll talk a little bit about the game last night, but I did want to. Oh, yeah. I forgot that did you hear that sound effect? I changed the sound effect for the subscriber. It said, oh, yeah.
Who was that?
That's good. I forgot that I changed that the other day.
I was like, what the hell is going on
So
here?
thank you to that person. I didn't see their name pop up.
Brendan, I think I saw. So, yeah. 995. Okay, 5 to go.
We're on the march. Anyway, what I was saying was a bit of a serious segment here, because anyone who listened in Monday night will have known that you were a little bit cranky. And
Just a little bit.
You're a little bit cranky. And look, sometimes when we're cranky, things can come out. We can disclose things, let's say. So, Mitch made a couple of interesting statements on the pod last night. And I think I've actually queued up a bit of a replay here. So, there's another new subscriber.
Oh, okay.
Beautiful. I've queued up a little
Wally, welcome. 996, 4 to go.
Replay. So let's see if this works. You guys, hopefully you'll be able to see this as well. But we're having a look at what Mitch said on Monday night.
So there's not much space in my forward line at the moment. So the DPP doesn't really save Bailey Smith at all for me. So I'm looking to get him off. I'm not looking to get him off. I'm looking to get
Mitch
off him this
is a
week.
Sicko. Stop looking to get Bailey Smith off, mate.
Jesus. But yes, you're on the chopping block, Bailey Smith. We'll quickly move past that one.
Let's not move faster. That was good gear. Well done, mate.
All right.
So I don't know whether you guys could see that or whether the audio came through, but basically on Monday night, Mitch revealed that he was trying to get Bailey Smith off, and it's been getting around.
Trying to get him off my team.
Well, that's not what I heard. I heard you're trying to get him off, and I just want to say, safe space.
Safe
mate.
space.
Are there any other AFL players you're looking to get off recently?
Oh
or
dear, you're really stitching me up here on a Friday afternoon.
I thought it could be a little bit like a Ball Boys rocket. Instead of giving the players a rocket.
Well, yeah. Well,
Mitch could potentially get you going in another way.
Yeah, well, I've tried. Yeah, well, hopefully not. Oh, that's the worst timing with that voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but welcome along, Blake. I think that's 3 to go now if I'm keeping my counting correct. But, oh, man, yes, it was a little slip of the tongue. Thank you, James. 2 more to go. I'm really counting down this 1,000
It seems to be going pretty well so far. So, anyway, Mitch, try not to get anyone off this show. It'll be the Ball Boys, Blue Balls, Big Boys in a second.
Blue Balls, Big Boys. Yes. No, I'll be very careful with my choice of words in today's podcast.
Please do so, mate. But safe space. That's all I want to say.
All right, but anyway, we're gonna recap a few things in today's podcast. Obviously, we had a game last night.
We did.
I know you were out socialising, and I was. I think we've got one more to go. Kale, welcome to the spot. Welcome to the club.
I wonder if the people can hear that weird, oh yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
Somebody in the comments let us know whether.
But yeah, it was a painful watch for me. And I sort of, obviously you and I both not Nick Dacos owners, but...
Oh, my days.
The guy just continues to look like an absolute jet and honestly is putting...
It's ruining my life.
It's putting to shame my projections in the preseason. I was 50-50 or sort of not sure whether to start him when everyone else was on him. Everyone else kind of jumped off. I still was a bit 50-50. We both ended up not going there, and he's averaging 114 through 4 rounds. And that was the hard part of his draw. And
well, that was what we cited earlier in the season. So I think we put our hand up enough and said, hey, we were wrong in that regard. And it's hard to begrudge. Yeah, people who picked him, awesome. To Nick Dacos himself, he's just playing great footy. It's still good to watch, but we're just on the wrong side of it. So
it hurts. He's 50% owned. Half the comp has him.
Yeah, it's killing.
He started at value. He's still going at value. A lot of people are VCing him now. I didn't have him in the Ball Boys, Big Boys. I probably should have. The reason I didn't have him on there was Brisbane are supposed to be restrictive to defenders.
Well,
it was at the Gabba. But yeah, obviously he's proven me wrong. I think he had like a 3-point second quarter. I think he had 1 disposal in the second quarter and still ended up with 38 disposals, 126 fantasy points. So
tip of the cap, he's a freak. It's
turning into a pick that's starting to take seasons away.
Yeah.
if he keeps this up, it's going to be hard to come back from.
It's the worst thing that's ever happened in my life.
Yeah, well, right up there.
I don't think it's not an overstatement.
It's ruined Collingwood footy for both of us. We can't watch a Collingwood game anymore.
He's still so good.
I switched off at 3/4 time. I was like, no, I've had enough.
The one thing I will guarantee is I will let everyone out there know the week I trade him in because he will get a 50 or something. Whatever, I'll let you know in advance, but don't have him the week I'm trading him in.
Did you VC Dunkley last night?
I did.
So
I was just tracking the scores. It was gross.
We are not going to take that score. We're going to look for something a little bit better, obviously. But so we'll go through the big boys, the captains.
Stop looking them in the eye when you call them big boys. You keep looking. I can see in my peripherals. You're trying to make eye contact when you call them the big boys.
Okay, I'll talk to the audience there. But and then obviously the other one that I wanted to touch on was Darcy Wilmot, who was very underwhelming. Kicked a goal as well in that second quarter, so I thought he was going to be maybe up and about, but only scraped himself to a 36. Unfortunately, I actually had him on my ground. A lot of people looped him on the bench with the potential of going him or a Lockie Cowan.
Yep.
I've looped Cowan this week to decide whether or not I'm going to get in a defender this week, like a Jaden Hunt. If Lockie Cowan scores enough, it might lead me down to a different path and go to a rookie like Van Ruin and cash up for my upgrades next week. I think that's it.
Is that 1,000?
Charles O'Connor.
Don't call it prematurely. Is it 1,000?
Well, double check that.
Okay, let me check.
If I've been counting along properly, and I very well might not have because I've been distracted by,
there's lots going on.
Your shout outs. But I think that is 1,000 subscribers. So I'll take this moment, even if it's not, even if we're one short, to thank everyone for obviously getting on board, subscribing to the Ball Boys. 1K!
Nice.
Welcome welcome. Cheers to that, Luke.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
a
you,
bloody
guys.
good effort.
Much appreciated, guys.
And thanks to everyone else out there who's jumped on board. It's honestly, I didn't expect us to reach this mark this fast. When I started the Ball Boys fantasy basketball podcast, it took me over a year to get to that point, and we've done it in basically 3 months. So
yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
The best part about it for me is not the numbers, it's just how friendly I think everyone's been. Like whether
Great
it's
community.
other people who are creating content or whether it's people who are just consuming the content, everyone is like really friendly, respectful, and all those things, which I think is just a testament to the community. So thank you so much for the support, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think I did promise a shoey, but Luke is...
Sorry, guys.
He's come
intentionally. Well, people out there who know me...
the equipment around here and the...
It's very... there's some expensive stuff, and people who know me will know that it's an absolute joke to think that I could even go close to doing a shoey. So Mitch was making promises he couldn't keep.
Yeah, I was trying to wind you up, but maybe we'll do something to celebrate in the next podcast. Yeah. So we'll think of something creative that we can do to show thanks everyone for jumping on board. But okay, let's get into it. We're talking some trade targets, I think is what we'll start ourselves off here.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's talk rookies first. So okay. Jacob Van Ruin is someone that I think he is the most traded in player at the moment.
Low break even.
He's 10.
He fits that bill of what we need at this particular point is that option to downgrade. And I think that is he going to score what he scored last week every week? No, he's not. I think he kicked 3 goals.
Yep.
But right now you play that low break even. You look for it'll be in the vicinity of 50k, hopefully, that he goes up, and you just keep that cash generation going. So I think that's probably a pretty solid play for a lot of people this week.
A question I have for you, and I'm facing this question as well. Like, is he a must-have? Like, is he a guy that we can't afford to miss? Like, because it's kind of like a this week or not kind of thing for me in the way I look at it.
I think it is. Yeah.
Is he a guy that we've got to get on in terms of making cash at this week, or if there's something else we can do in our trades in terms of like maybe shifting over to another mid-pricer, doing a little shuffle around with our premiums. Is a Van Ruin a guy that you think is a guy that we have to get into our sides this week?
Well, it depends. It depends what you've got and where you want to go. I guess that's what we say all the time, isn't it? But I think if you're looking to do that rookie downgrade, he's the definite one. If you're looking to maybe pass on him this week, then I think that maybe in the back of your mind you're looking at a guy like is it Fahey? Is that how I pronounce?
Yeah.
And potentially thinking about what he could do if he comes in at the Giants.
So he's not been confirmed, named at this stage. No. Obviously, we're recording at 41.
Talking future trades, potentially.
Yeah, so I think he's, what I've heard is he might be doubtful for this week, but he's obviously getting close. He's not far away, but sometimes we can get stung by that, like,
just waiting and hoping.
Yeah, training in a Hollins last year, I thought he was not too far away. It ended up being several months. So things can happen. So I probably would definitely still be going like a Van Ruin, even though you're paying a little bit more.
For sure, this week for sure. But if you're thinking of going, maybe, let's say you don't have Will Day still, and you're thinking that you could get onto him, and then maybe you could also turn. Let's say we've got Bailey Smith, so you want to turn him into something like Kelly or even a Stewart with some DPP. Like I don't think that every single coach must trade in JVR this week.
I agree with you there. I think that he is obviously the choice of all the downgrades, but I don't think, like, if you're not getting him in, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think he's still a key position rookie. He's not going to be someone that you want to have on your ground. He's got a nice matchup this week against the Eagles, who are losing half their side. So chances are he's going to kick a few goals or whatever, but he's still a key position player. I don't necessarily think that he is the be-all and end-all when it comes to rookies. And this is the last week that we can fix up some of those premiums, fix up some of those mid-prices. So,
and this is the last week you can get him. You probably think, if he comes out and he scores really well and you think that cash generation is going to continue, then
I think he's a great option, but I've heard some comments on some other podcasts and things like that you absolutely must get him in, and he's, you can't afford to miss him. I would push back on that. I would disagree slightly. There are a lot of different ways to play this game. We're going to have other rookies in future. Yep. We might have the bread come back in soon. We might have. Is it Faye or Faye? I don't know. Anyway,
guess
that
and then we'll run with that.
fella. He might be in soon. So there's
40 odd touches on the weekend. Him in the Scoobies.
Exactly.
He's stiff to miss.
There'll be other opportunities to make cash. I think that. An option in one of my trade scenarios, I might be missing on him depending on how like a Lucky Cowan goes and whether or not I want him on my field or not.
Yep.
And we've got a lot of forward rookies as well. So you might actually be running out of space for a lot of those forward rookies. And I don't think at this stage I'm willing to be shuffling around. So I think Jacob Van Rielen is the pick of the bunch when it is downgrade time. So if you're going like one mid-pricer down, one mid-pricer up, you're trying to get JVR in. But I don't think by any stretch he's like an absolute must-have if you're thinking that, in my opinion. Let's talk about some mid-prices. Mid-prices was all the rage last week. There was a few must-haves, but this week, I think it's a little bit less cut and dry. So I think still, if you don't have Will Day, there's still enough value there to jump on him. So for me, he would be your number one priority. Could
be going towards being top 6 defender, if not close.
Well, he might not be far off, yeah, and especially obviously the last 2 weeks he's moved more inside, which I think is more sustainable for him. I still have the concerns over the fact that he's playing for Hawthorn. He's not going to come up against North Melbourne every week, who obviously gave up a truckload of points last weekend. So what would you say he is, like a 90 plus kind of guy? I'm
thinking he's around the 90 mark long term, but like we say, on that line. That's not far off.
It's definitely something you can keep at least till the end of the buys. It's luxury trade time. Yeah, so I think he is still someone that he would be my number one target for mid prices.
Yep.
I want to get your thoughts because these next, I'd say 3 are or probably the next 2 are pretty close for me. At number 2 targets, I've got Jaden Hunt, who is the guy that I'm looking at this week. It makes me a little nervous, but of all those cheaper guys. And obviously McKenna played last night, scored an 80 plus, so he might have actually been the player, but didn't want to pull the trigger that early. But Jaden Hunt on a depleted West Coast Eagles team, versing the Melbourne Demons, obviously they give up good points to defenders, but don't give up so many points to outside midfielders, so like a wing type.
Yeah,
so
and where is he going to play?
Where is he going to play? He's still quite cheap, break even, I think around that 15 mark. Compared him to someone like a Jack Zebel, who's obviously around that Will Day price tag. Yep. But obviously forward eligible at this stage. What are your thoughts on those two, and where would you rank them in priority?
Sorry, I tried to read the last comment and you realise why I'm laughing.
He feels privileged. Oh, Connor! Sorry, Charles.
Keep reading.
This has been... Oh, jeez, Charles.
We'll arrange, Charles, for that to happen.
Only Bulldogs midfielders, actually.
There's a hefty donation to the Ball Boys Mitch Luke. Do whatever it takes.
Okay. Let's move quickly away from that.
So the question was about Jaden Hunt. Now, I think that there's no doubting he's going to play an outside role. So he's an outside player. So it's either, for me, it's either wing or halfback. He's not going in there to fix a shoey or a sheed hole, I don't think.
No, he's not going inside. Yeah.
My guess would be halfback, which I think is a tick in his box.
That's a good... If he is halfback, I like it a lot more.
But I still feel somewhat dirty about making that trade, because a lot of people will probably make a Constable to Hunt trade if they're going to Hunt. Yep. But I still feel better in doing something down to a JVR and pocketing some cash for next week, which I think is one of your other options, isn't it?
Yeah, it is my other option. So for me, it's based on what Cowan does this afternoon, and if he gets like a 50 plus, I'm probably going to bypass a Hunt, pocket the cash, and make a serious upgrade next week.
Yep.
If he goes, a poor score that I don't want on my ground, like a 40 or less, then I think that I will go the Hunt option. Try and ride his price rise. Obviously, he's going to be increasing in price with a low break even. But I think of all those options, I think some people have talked about like a Liam Baker as a cheaper option. Lockie Weller, those kind of guys that aren't quite as high as like a Tom Stewart in that little mid-price range. Elliot Yeo this week, I wouldn't go.
It feels like you're making that trade knowing that you're going to have to... fix. Is it easier to just go Stewart and at least even if he gets tagged this week?
Look, that's fine. I can't afford Stewart. He's out of my price range with any of the trades that I do. So I know there are people it's $300K to get like a Constable who is someone that we didn't fix up last week up to a Stewart. So it's not chump change. It's a restructure.
You could go. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
I could go Bailey Smith down, but I have to go Bailey Smith down to someone in like the $500K midfield range, and there's just no one.
What about just
really
a Stewart
there.
With DPP? And then you can do.
I guess I could
go
do
to
that.
With DPP and then just go to JVR from Constable and pocket the cash.
I'd have like $400K on my bench.
I'm pretty close to doing that, to be honest. If Cowan puts up a stinker and it's not loopable, then that's likely what I'm going to be doing.
There's still a lot in my head with that kind of scenario for me to go and think about. we'll have to see. The good news is obviously the Eagles don't play until Monday, so you'll have a little bit of decisions. Bailey Smith does play the Saturday afternoon, which I think, and someone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that the Monday teams are announced or finalised at 4:30 on Saturday.
Oh, Saturday.
And the Bulldogs Richmond game was played at 4:35. So there's going to be a 5-minute window in there
I hate that stuff.
where we're going to have to make decisions. And the big decision that I think we're all going to be waiting on is, are we going to have to move on James Worpel because he could potentially be dropped on Monday? I know you've gotten yourself out of that situation.
We all, mate.
Okay,
Don't lump me in with you. James Worpel.
Us idiots that got James Worpel in.
Sucked in. Suckers.
So that's the nervous game that I'm waiting on. Now, I will. If someone in the comments does know what the actual time is when that Monday
let us know.
is announced, I think it's 4:30 Saturday, but I could be wrong on that as well. But nervous waits for everything.
It is. Mid-prices, can we talk a little bit about Keziah Pickett?
Yes.
Because his name's been getting... And my old man texted me Keziah Pickett earlier in the week.
Yeah,
and
he likes the look of him.
Umming and ahhing. And then
What do you have, 120 in round one?
Yeah, so if you're trading in Keziah Pickett, you're not trading in because of the 120 in round one. You're trading in because of a perceived, like a narrative that you can sell yourself on that his role is going to be different to previous years. So, and I think the narrative that people are selling themselves on is that Melbourne are looking to add a little bit of explosion to their midfield mix, and Pickett's also a really, really good tackler. Yeah. Maybe not the best bumper.
As proved.
An elite tackler, so they're probably selling themselves in that narrative that even if he can get like 30% CBAs, he can lay his 5 tackles a game, he can have his 20 touches, most of them kicks, and then maybe he kicks a goal. Yeah. And suddenly he's like what do we see him as, like an 85 guy? Is that what those people are seeing?
Yeah, so he's priced at like mid-60s, so it is cheap. He has done a 64 in the past in 2021.
Yeah.
I think that he's probably a 70-plus guy. If he's 80-plus, it's a good pick. But even then, you're still a stretch off those top 6 guys.
So he had 7 out of 30 CBAs in that first game.
Yeah, 25%.
So what do you read into that? Do you see that?
I sort of think that's going to be where he's going to be at.
So that's a move that you think that Goody's made, and it's
I mean they've talked about it. It's been something that's been flagged before the game. It happened in round 1. So I think that he's definitely going to be floating in there more. Yeah. Their mainstays are still going to be Oliver. It's still going to be Petrarca.
Oh, no doubt.
It's still going to be Viney. Like, those are going to be the mainstay guys.
But if he can get some time, that could influence his scoring.
I think 4 goals.
Ryan in the comments has just talked about contract year. I think he's talking about Pickett potentially. So,
I'm not a big believer in contract years.
You don't get involved in that.
Yeah, anyone who follows me over from the fantasy basketball, it's a big thing in basketball, but I don't.
If it's your full-time job, you probably got a bit of an incentive to perform well in a contract year. But I think you've got incentive all the time.
I was going to say, if you're relying on being incentivized by money,
you're playing shit. It's not a contract year. Sorry,
guys. I'm not contract. Don't worry
I'll play well. I'll play well next year.
Yeah. Next week. Yeah, I'll play for the money now. I think
contract year.
That's. I never buy into that. Like the extra motivation's going to get them over the line because I think they're professional athletes. Like. They should be bloody motivated all the time, and if they're not, they're probably not a good player anyway. So I say it wouldn't be a trade that I make personally. Look, I can see a world in which it pays off.
Yep.
But I do see a world where this goes pretty badly, and it's an issue that you're gonna have to fix up later on.
What if you could do? I think I might have even tried this, but it didn't have the DPP to swing it. What if you could do something like a Bailey Smith to Stewart, and then a Constable to Pickett? What if you could do
I like that a bit better because you're fixing up something that's on your ground. You're also probably shuffling the magnets around to get your ground set up nicely.
Yeah.
It seems pretty tricky based on the DPP. You'd have to probably have a defender in utility or something like that.
Yeah, I think
to make that work.
I tried to do it and I think I failed.
Yeah. So look, Keziah Pickett, like, are you more in favour than I am, or what are your thoughts on
I think if I was able to make that trade work and cover what I'd need to cover this weekend, which is Constable and just a depleted, disgusting-looking backline, really. If I could cover it and Pickett was a solution in that case, I think I'd look at it. I'd consider it. Because I think a game like he had in round 1, what it does is it affirms to the coaching staff a little bit of their thinking, so they go, okay, we've given him a bit of midfield time, and I'm a coach looking at that. I'm like, how's he going to respond to this? And
I think he's going to have that role moving forward. It's just whether or not he is the kind of guy that will translate to fantasy scores, or if he's going to be a bit more of an impact versus an accumulator type. Do you know what I mean? Like, he kind of strikes me as that Dustin Martin type. I know he's obviously maybe a better tackler.
It's the price tag figure that is the tempting part of it. Do you know what I mean?
He's priced at a nice spot.
Yeah.
Look, like I said, there's a well where I see it going well, but it's just probably maybe not a move that I would do. What about a Jack Zebel, who's going to be playing in just over an hour's time?
Yeah.
Is he someone that you think that we've missed the boat on if you haven't got on him already?
No, I don't think you've missed the boat. There's two things there that appeal to me with Zebel. Is the first one is the fact that he's going to get DPP. Mm-hmm. And so he might be somebody.
God, I need that DPP. I need it now.
Yeah, and so that's the appealing part, is because you can then swing him back and you can fix up some of that backline stuff. But the other thing that appeals to me as well is that often when a player, I think he had back-to-back 110-ish scores in his first 2 games, and then he had a down one, then suddenly the narrative is people are not talking about him. Like if he pops out another 110, then he's the talk of the town this week again, and everyone's going get it. So it's... Yeah, I think that's another appealing point to me, is that people now are probably not as big on him this week. If he comes out and does another 110, is anyone going to be shocked? No.
I mean, he's priced at the same price as Will Day, and I think he has a similar level of ceiling. I think the downside on him is a bit higher because of his age. Yeah. I think also because of the side that he's in, and him being 32 years old, they might be willing to prioritise some of the younger guys.
Yep.
Plus also being a bit older, maybe he is a bit more prone to injuries and things like that. So if you've got the option, and the fact that he's not defender eligible yet. So
if you're picking between Day and him, you pick Day. I'm assuming some teams will have Day, but not Zebel.
Yeah, so I think you've one or the other. So I think Zebel is someone that you could still get him because he is close enough. I think if he hits what I expect him to do, he'll be close enough to that top 6 forward or defender line.
Yeah, agreed.
And you can carry him to the rest of the upgrade season past the buys, and that flexibility will become useful. I just would probably prioritise Day if you don't have either.
Yeah. In
terms of getting in those mid prices.
Should we talk premiums?
Yes.
So we're talking, trade in targets, but we're going to have a little bit of a chat about some premiums.
Yeah, so it's a funny round where, you and I, we're looking to trade out of Bailey Smith this week, and some people might be trying to do a mid-pricer down to a mid-pricer up to get in their premium. So some people are looking at players that you could trade in at a higher price tag. For me, I know a lot of people are going Tom Stewart, and he is going to be on this list. We'll talk about him soon. But for me, the number one target in my books is Josh Kelly. He is currently ranked 3rd in the game for points per minute, and he's also the 13th most expensive midfielder. So there's a lot of value on his head. He's playing a pure inside mid role in a team that seems to only have a couple of guys running through that role. I know you're upset because you had him in your side.
Tell me all the reasons why I'm an idiot.
So for me, he is looking like a guy that's a genuine top 8 chance, potentially even a top 4 or 5 guy. He has a very juicy matchup this week. We'll talk about captains later.
He's proven scoring bud as well. The thing that you look at, and we spoke about it all pre-season, and you'd have to be blind Freddie to not realise that that when he's in that inside mid role, he puts up 110 plus averages. He's done it, I think, twice in his career, and it coincided with him being in that role. So if he continues in that role, I definitely have faith that he's going there. I should have held the other week. One of my many poor decisions so far this season. But the only tiny little flag there is that he'll probably become the tag target, if I was coming up against GWS. But something that I've seen a little bit recently that I probably agree, and we've been part of it, but I think the tag stuff gets blown up.
It probably gets oversold.
Yeah, and that's, we're doing that too, so don't get me wrong, I'm not absolving us of any blame there. We did it with Dacos, but
it's a lesson.
Yeah, it's something to at least mention, isn't it?
Yeah, it is something to mention. But I think that Josh Kelly is a guy that if you can get to a player like that, I know he's probably close to that 900k mark, but for me, for a player like that is definitely unders of what we expect him to do. The next guy here that I have been asked a few times on Twitter, this guy or Tom Stewart, Caleb Sarong is the guy that I'm ranking at my number 2 target. Right. So wrong, but so right.
Ooh,
he is a guy that I think if you can't quite get to that Josh Kelly price tag, he is cheaper. That low 800 mark, I would prefer him over a, someone like a Tom Green, who I have a bit of a bias against. But I think that for me, he is someone that is on the upward trajectory in terms of his price, his break even.
Yep.
You could probably get him in now and then maybe a Tom Stewart in a week or two.
Yep.
So I think for me, I'd be targeting him ahead of a Tom Stewart, assuming that it doesn't leave you short-handed in your defensive line. You have to field like a Lockie Cowan or someone like that. That's the
Well, that was kind of a tiebreak, yeah, and I was going to talk about that because we've got Tom Stewart next on this list, and that's probably the situation I'm in there. I'm so desperate to get Josh Kelly in, desperate, but then I look at the way my backline's shaping up, and I think look, Cowan's probably not going to put up a 60 tonight.
It's probably not going to happen
this afternoon, is he? So,
I mean, it's against the Roos. There's a little bit of hope.
There's hope. Like we can sit,
and we'll have that answer.
We lose nothing by watching. So. It probably, for me, is going to be Stewart based on the fact that I think Cowan's going to put up a stinker score, and then I just have to bolster. I can't take Cowan and Wilmot 35 or something last night.
Yeah, shocking score.
No.
And then at number 3 is where I have Tom Stewart. If Finn McGuinness is named, I 100% think that he will go to Tom Stewart, clamp him down, and put a tag on him. Yep. We have seen Tom Stewart be tagged to some pretty poor scores in the past. I think I remember a 40-something. I think he put up, I can't remember who it was against last season. So that is the flag for me on Tom Stewart, and his break-even is at 105, that even if he does come out and put up a good score, he's not going to get away from you. So for me personally, I'm doing my best to wait a week on Tom Stewart because I think a lot of people are going to go there. If he is tagged, that is a slight chance for you to get maybe a leg up on people who do go there.
Fuck, I wish Nick Dacos had played later in this round.
It does seem like a really stressful round to get, and people who pull the trigger on him, it might work out.
Well done. Absolutely, hat off to you. I thought about doing it, but having that trade locked away on
the 5
Thursday
day,
night,
Monday's games.
I just thought that seemed risky, but...
Yeah.
What have we been saying? Don't listen to us.
So, yeah. Look, and then my next question to you is...
It's worrying that 1,000 people have decided they want to listen to
us. Yeah, well,
what is going on?
We sometimes we say good things, but we just don't follow through. So the age-old question.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah,
is that
that's right.
Is that
That's right. But what do you think about some people? I know a lot of people are going to players like a Clayton Oliver this week as a guy that maybe they've got that luxury to get in that uber premium captain option.
But what?
Me personally, I would, even if you have the money to go to a Clayton Oliver, I would still be shopping around this sort of price range, leaving yourself a bank of cash for next week. Because I think of all the rounds this week and next week, having a bit of cash in the bank is a good thing because there's no urgent targets for us to get in that are like, the Setterfields of last week. They're going to shoot up 50K if we don't get on them now. So I think that it's okay to have a bit of cash in the bank next week because this time of year, you're going to start to get into upgrade season, and then using that extra bit of cash might be the way to get you there. So I would still be going this type of price range because there's every chance that someone like a Josh Kelly, someone like a Caleb Sarong outscores them this week.
I mean, they certainly could, and you have to. But my thinking on it, anyway, my opinion is you have to have that foresight to think maybe Clary Oliver is the right move for this round in terms of a purely a points perspective and a captaincy option. But that extra however many thousands of dollars that you spent to get there, like you said, that's going to be useful in the next the next 2 weeks. And so where does that leave your team come upgrade season, which is just around the corner?
Those who have Darcy Cameron, they've obviously already traded him out because he was playing last night's game. But with the edit trade option, you still have the option to maybe adjust who you're bringing in. I would still be, if I could, going straight up to Tim English. Yep. He's just been amazing.
Just do it. Find a way to do it.
100 points every round so far. He looks like if he stays healthy, he's going to be the clear number 1 ruck.
Don't go to Jared Witts. It'll just lead in disappointment and tears.
Jared Witts, I would rule out as well just based on his price. I would, if you can't get to English, I would go Sean Darcy. I think that, look, the risk with Sean Darcy...
Chaser.
Yeah, I know, right? The risk with Sean Darcy is the fact that you've got Luke Jackson there, and they're potential is downside with them splitting the role.
Yeah.
But I think you've seen in the second half of the game in round 2, and then the game last week, obviously, although it was against the West Coast Eagles and their lack of ruckmans.
Maybe we should just use one trade every week to trade in the ruckman that's playing the Eagles.
Yeah, that might be worthwhile because...
That's 40 points.
Yeah.
You'd guarantee that's a 120,
Put
130.
a captain on them.
It's Grundy this week, isn't it?
It is Grundy
this week. That could be a bloodbath.
Well, we're going to talk about that one in a second.
You're going to put him in the big boys.
He will be making an appearance in the big boys.
Big boys.
But yeah, I think those are the 2 options. I probably wouldn't be messing around with anyone else. You could potentially go to Grundy. What are your thoughts about going to a Grundy as a option?
It's a temporary thing, isn't it?
It is.
We had enough.
It's got a juicy run.
Oh, he does. There's no doubt.
But he comes up against Collingwood soon.
But we had we had enough of a look at it to know that when it's gone in Grundy,
it's not good. We don't want to be on that.
So do that, but know that there's a trade coming up.
Yeah, you're going to have to plan to get him out.
By all means, make that trade, and it will be good for those immediate points.
Yeah, the instant reward will be there. Yeah. But yeah, it's whether or not you will have the luxury to get rid of him at some point. Yeah, you hear that? Back up.
Burping into the mic. Sorry, guys.
All right, let's talk about some trade out targets, some priorities to move on from. I've got all these guys sort of tied at number 1. Jason Horne-Francis, I'm very keen on moving him on. He can drop a stinker at any point. Finn Callaghan is someone that you need to move on. Finn-ish, yes.
Would you say?
Yes, you could definitely say that. Now that a Dom Sheed has been dropped, he was in the next target, but he is probably the number 1 trade out target.
Charlie
Constable.
Charlie Constable for me is... you might not have to trade him out this week. His value's not going to drop because he's not going to play. You could trade him out next week. I was going to say you could do him next week, but then I'd be in the same boat as you.
Careful. I might do the video and get you stuck on next week's podcast.
But the thing with him is he's not coming back in unless it's an injury.
Yeah, no.
He was playing, when I say he's playing good footy, he was scoring well. Yeah. And the Gold Coast have said, well,
he was a guy that was there.
You can't kick the ball. Yeah. We've got Lockie Weller. We've got, other blokes. So I don't think Constable's come back in.
I don't think he's coming back in.
The Wolf of Wall Street, gone.
Liam Stocker, I think, is the next guy. So if you've got any of those other guys that we mentioned before, I think they've got to go. Liam Stocker's another guy that, he was an option last week. Yeah, we're in a recession here with the with the Wolf, and he has to go. But if you're forced to hold him, I don't think it's the end of the world because, he's put up a couple of good scores before last week. He has a decent role, but it's just obviously he's the third guy behind those other guys in the Saints. So he is next. The third guys that I've got here is the Bailey Smith types. So the failed premiums that, you're moving out with a role change.
Get him off, mate.
Because this is the week to do it. Because if you wait another week, everyone's going to be starting upgrading and it's going to be very difficult to keep up. So I'm quite determined to get rid of Bailey Smith. Some people...
Nothing about DPP is swaying you?
No, not from my team. Some people are saying hold him, and I can totally understand that. I think that... perhaps that's someone who doesn't have him in your side.
But it depends what you got to fix. Yes. You're even in this situation. Would you consider going a Constable down to a JVR with DPP, and then would that get you
I can't do that.
Up to?
I can't do that. I don't have the DPP to do that. I've only got... I would need to get in another defender to make that happen. So I'd have to go a Finn Callaghan down to a JVR.
Yeah.
Or even a Warple down to a JVR, and then a Constable.
Up to what could you afford in the midfield?
I can't afford a Stewart. Or I can't do a midfielder option.
Can't?
No, because I don't have the defender to swap with him back.
So
my options are very limited in terms of getting rid of Constable, which probably means he's going to stay on my side one more week. I've got a plan for next week where to go, but it is something that I would definitely tick off if you don't have, say you've got a Sheed, a Finn Callaghan, and a Jason Horne-Francis in your side. Well, then, no, you have to address that first.
Yeah.
I luckily got rid of Sheed, so I only have the Callaghan and Constable issue. Constable doesn't get me much, so I'm happy to leave him there if it's not going to get me anything. But if I can get rid of a Finn Callaghan and a Bailey Smith, I'm ticking 2 of my boxes this round, and I'm pretty happy with that. So
okay. Who else have we got on the trade-out targets?
I've got James Warple there next. Now, this changes if he's not named. If he's not named, he moves up to the Dom Sheed category, that top priority.
Yeah.
If he is named, I'm willing to give him another week because his break-even's still around that 50 mark.
Yep.
He's got a decent enough role if he's in the side. But I'd want to be, making a plan that he's going to be going next week. But I'd probably prioritise if you've got a Callaghan, a Jason Horne-Francis, a Dom Sheed, a Stocker, those sort of types, I'd be getting rid of those players first before Warple, assuming Warple is playing.
Okay.
But obviously, we're going to have to wait and see if that is the case. Because I do have concerns that he's going to be dropped this week, just based on the eye test. My rants early in the week, he looked shocking.
Maybe you got him dropped.
Maybe.
With the rant.
I hope I didn't see the bloody podcast. Because, hold on. Wait, this Warple. Oh, yeah, he was shit.
He does. Mitch is right. He does suck. Let's get rid of him.
They're onto something.
You've been saying that all pre-season.
And then the lowest priority, players like an Andrew McGrath, Hayden Young, they've been disappointing, but they're in a similar role to what we expect them to be in. Other rookies like a Chesser, Pedlar, you can't really do too much with their price tag. So I think they're also low priority as well because, again, you're just kind of sidewaysing across. So I think there's probably better things you can do. All right.
You ready for some big boys, mate?
Yes, let's move on. I'm trying to remember. What button was it? Okay. I've forgotten which one. Let's go.
A calamity. Okay, right. Let's go.
I got the right one. Okay, it was a 1 in 2 chance there.
Yeah, I hope people can hear us because this is what we had issues with. In the comments section, let us know if you can hear us or if they can't hear us, they can't listen. Hear us.
Well, no, I think it should be right there.
I think we should be okay.
We fixed some things up after last podcast.
I don't need to click this button here, do I? That button there, Michael?
No, I think we're okay. Or maybe just click it just in case.
Okay.
Can't do any harm.
Well, that.
All right.
I hope I haven't bloody.
Fingers crossed. Let us know if you can hear us. But number 1, Ball Boys, Big Boys.
Big Boys.
We talked about him earlier. Brodie Grundy is the number 1 Ball Boys, Big Boys option for this week.
Out of nowhere, off the top rope.
He's not played. He's not appeared in the list so far this year. But what we said on the podcast, the most reliable matchup, West Coast Ruckman. Brodie Grundy scored 105
that's
last
buy
week.
For Ruckman, isn't it?
It honestly is. He could go absolutely crazy. So for me, you're guaranteed at least 110, I think, there. So it's just the highest of high floors. And obviously, Brodie
someone
Grundy,
said can't hear you. Are they fucking with us here?
We did hear that Big Balls Boys Clinton. He's taking the Mickey, I reckon.
True Cricket's taking the. Are you taking the Mickey? I gotta work. Oh yeah.
He wouldn't be able to hear us and then respond to us to say that he
microphone.
Can't hear us.
What?
No, he's taking the piss. All right, so no, Brodie Grundy, he is the number 1 big boy. I did have him close with his teammate Clayton Oliver as well at number 2.
Yeah.
Some people, I think Calvin didn't have him in his top 5. He has a poor history against West Coast, but I think at this kind of a stage of the year, you back the player in. He's averaging 128. Yep. He just looks like he's in a rare vein of form, so I'd be backing him in. Number 3 is the guy that I think a lot of people will be VCing. Unfortunately, I don't have the luxury to do so. Sam Doherty against North Melbourne in about an hour's time. He could go big against North Melbourne under the roof at Marvel Stadium. I personally am crossing my fingers that I'm going to be wrong, but this is the highest I've had Sam Doherty ranked so far this year.
So you're telling me I should be putting the C on him?
You don't have him. You don't have Sam Doherty. Oh, do you? You've got Doherty? Oh, shit. And how are you ranked lower than me? What's going on?
You're taking the piss. You knew I had Doc.
No, I actually completely forgot. I thought you were in the same boat with me in Dorset.
No,
you got Doherty.
Oh, mate, okay. My team's so good, mate. That's why I'm ranked as high as I am.
Because you asked me, are you VC in Dunkley? And I said, yeah.
I knew you were probably going to go into Kelly because I knew you were trading Kelly.
Okay, sorry. I should have told you to VC Doc then.
I was being
Read the run sheet,
I was being a concerned friend. See, you just thought it was all about me. I was actually asking what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Okay, so are you VCing Doherty?
No, I've got to see him. Okay.
Dunkley. So you're seeing him in an hour's time. Okay.
Well, am I?
Well, I would be seeing him. He's gonna be big this week, and I think we've seen so far North Melbourne have been giving up a lot of points. I don't think that the Sting's going to be in the game like he has done against Richmond in round 1 and who did they verse in the round 2? Was it Geelong?
You think he's just going to be waxing?
Yeah, so I think when they're going to play a little bit more of a low intense game, that he can definitely rack up in that one. Number 4 is where I've got our guy here, Josh Kelly against Essendon. I think the Saints boys went bigger than against them last year. Again, he's number 3 in points per minute this season. So when he plays a full game, when he's played a full game, sample size of 1, but he's gone over 120. So,
but he was on track to do that when he
and he was on track to do that, and that's where that points per minute sort of stat.
No
is
tag
important.
risk there. No tag risk.
They haven't been running a tag Essendon, but I think that's because players like Setterfield are going so well, and that midfield mix is doing its job. Yeah. So I am less worried about that one now. 5 is where I had Josh Dunkley. That didn't work out. Number 6 is where I had Rory Laird against Freo. The only thing I worry about Rory Laird is that maybe it's a less contested style game versing a Fremantle who like to sort of move the ball around.
Yep.
But I still think that he's going to bounce back better than he did last week. Andrew Brayshaw on the other side of things, I think, is there at number 7. Number 8 is where I've got Timmy T. The Bulldogs have been giving up a lot of points so far this year. I think that will swing, and we started to see it swing last week when they versed the Lions. And I think that the early season stats and trends are still kind of making their way. So I've got Tim Taranto a little bit lower than others might expect. Tim English up against Richmond. That's one of his least favourite matchups in the round.
Okay.
So I think that he is down a bit lower. And then at number 10, Christian Petrarca is a little smoky there. going up against West Coast. I think those goal-scoring midfielders could do really well.
He could have like a 30 and 4 kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
what about the credibility of the Ball Boys Big Boys? How were you last week?
Yeah. So last week was okay. Had a few players bring the average down. So we averaged 104 points for our top 10 captains last week. I think some players like Rory Laird was disappointing. Yeah. Brayshaw was a bit disappointing with his 90 as well. But for the most part, we had a few big scores there. So far, so good with the Ball Boys Big Boys. Josh Dunkley didn't help my cause this week.
Stunk it up.
But yes, hopefully you guys can go better than your VC than what I did last night. So
absolutely. Should we field some questions?
Yeah, let's have a look at some questions.
Let's do it.
What do we got going through here?
Let's have a look through the live chat. If you've got any questions, guys, whack them in the YouTube comments at the moment. But we'll scroll back and we'll have a little squizzy.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Who's got some
Is
questions?
Massimo D'Ambrosio a good switch for Constable? Don't have the cash to get up to Tom Stewart or Yo. I would say no. I would rather Jaden Hunt in that situation.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean,
Hunt's cheaper.
Yeah, Massimo has looked all right.
He looks okay.
He looks like a guy that Essendon want to get the ball with their hands of, but I think we've been saying it for a little while, is that there's a lot of guys at Essendon that are seen probably as distributors as well.
Yeah, you've got McGrath, you've got Redmond, you've got Ridley still there. Like, he's fourth in line with those guys.
Yeah. So instead of going that for this particular person, would you be looking to go for like a rookie downgrade with some DPP? Depends who they got in the midfield as well. Do they have?
It depends if they could probably do the same thing that I'm doing. If they have Callum with the emergency, have a look at that score. If he scores enough, then go something cheaper and cop that. But if he does score shit like we expect, I personally, of those cheaper guys, I like Jaden Hunt myself. But it is obviously, it has its risks for me.
Someone talking about Baz, definitely a hole with DPP. Potentially, that's one that we could live to regret. Like, there's no doubt.
It could be. If you don't trade him this week, you hold after this. I just think that this is, of all the rounds
you get off him,
you hold him.
This is so interesting, isn't it? Because a week ago, people were talking about McRae in this exact same way, weren't they? And then with the way Bevo does things, McRae comes out, was it 111? Something like that from memory. And then suddenly nobody's talking about getting rid of McRae this week. It's so interesting to see how the narrative
psychology
changes.
Isn't it? Yeah. But like what I'm going to cite here is, if we just have a look at Bailey, let's look about why we selected Bailey Smith. We selected Bailey Smith because his pre-bye run, he averaged 113, 118 before he got suspended.
Yeah.
He did that on 53% CBAs, but he also did that on extremely high time on ground. So the time on ground is not there like it was at the start of last year. Yep. We thought that could have been offset by taking his CBAs from 53% to like the mid-60s. Okay, so even if his time on ground wasn't there, then the CBAs would offset that. But he's got neither of those things.
None of it's happened. One CBA last week.
After the bye last year, he averaged 93 on 53% CBAs. Yeah. And if his time on ground is not there and he's getting 53% CBAs and he's averaging 93, what can he do with 5 or 10% CBAs? It could be sub 90. So I think there is a lot of risk there. And if you can quickly get off him while he's priced at 102, like it's someone that I think that I am pretty keen to do so, because I think even if he gets the forward DPP, we've got some good forwards this year. Yeah. It's not enough for me to swing at this stage. But it is still...
There's some forward lines that already look chockers, eh?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
We have... picking Dawson over Dacos keeps me up every night. Yeah, you and me both. I didn't pick Dawson.
Absolutely.
Imagine if you picked Hayden Young over Dacos like me.
I picked them both.
We're up at night too. We're up for all the wrong reasons.
I don't think I'll be tuning into Collingwood games for a little while anymore.
Somebody's complimented your choice of beer here, loving a Stoney.
Oh, thank you, mate. It's one of my favourites.
Good. Mitch likes a fruity beer.
Yeah, well.
Nothing to it. Don't read into it.
Okay.
Yeah, D'Ambrosio.
Constable to Hunt.
Here we go. Warple to Mason Wood and Constable to Van Rooyen. What do you reckon?
I don't know if I can do the Mason Wood pick. I just don't trust...
Dossie's got Mason Wood, doesn't he? He's on the...
It sounds like a Dossie kind of a pick. Wingers, I just don't trust them in terms of the, variability of scores. They can be up 1 week, down 1 week.
But he's had that
shoulder issue as well. He's been really good. He's looked the goods. The Saints have also been up and about.
It's true.
So I think there's a few risk factors there, and I don't think he's necessarily cheap enough for me to jump on. So I personally would not be recommending Mason Wood to come into your side. I'd honestly rather a Kazai Pickett, personally.
Okay. Yeah, to be honest, I probably would as well for the value option there. Okay, in one word, who are you fielding? Will Phillips or Van Rooyen?
I'd probably be going Will Phillips just because he has that inside mid role. I think it's more reliable. And when he has played full games, he has scored pretty well. With a couple of those midfielders coming back in, there is potentially a chance at a sub. So, again, I don't know if you can loop him with maybe a Chesser DPP to get that look, but I'd still maybe go someone like that.
This one here, Callahan and Warple for JBR and Sarong. I'm ticking that off.
Love it. Yeah, great trades. Yeah. Great trades.
Make that happen if you can make that.
That's a very clear upgrade in my opinion.
Definitely. Rao at the moment. That's not a bad pick at the moment. So someone here's got Rao at the moment. If he doesn't go 95 plus this week, trading him in an upgrade, would you rather go Sick Dog or Kelly? So Sick Dog would be
is
with
that
some DPP.
Josh Kelly?
I'd have to imagine.
Yeah. If it's Josh Kelly, then yes. I think Josh Kelly could potentially be 110.
Yeah.
Sicily's probably more like that 100 player. They're both tops in their lines.
Yeah.
But I think just for the potential captain option that a Kelly is, that's where I'd be going.
I think even though Rao's playing quite well at the moment, I think it basically on those mid prices or guys that are undervalued, once you can get to the guy that you want, that you think is a keeper, that's when you pull the trigger on that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unless you feel like they've got 20 more points of upside that's to go. Like, if you can pull the trigger, you're ready to go.
I do think, though, that Rao will be a low priority if, next week, if we're talking about it. This week, maybe, but next week, I don't know if I'd be trading a player like Rao because I think you might be able to get a better upgrade than that. But we'll have to sort of see what his role looks like this week. But I can't imagine changing too much.
This is a good one from I Jacked Off. Stuart.
We have influenced these people way for the wrong way.
Good name. So are you taking Stuart or are you taking Day and Dollars? I think I probably know your answer to this one. Can I guess your answer to this one?
Go.
So if you don't have Day, you're taking Day this week and the Dollars to potentially look at taking Stuart in subsequent weeks.
I reckon Day outscores Stuart this week.
Yeah. So
I'm taking Day.
If I didn't have Day, that would be an option that I'd be looking at. I don't have Day. Am I going to go to Stuart? Fuck, I don't know. But if I was in that situation, I'm taking Day and Dollars this week.
Let me put it this way. If Finn McGuinness is in the team, because you'll know by now if you're choosing between those two players and they're playing on the same day, if McGuinness is in the team, then I would probably be more inclined to go to Stuart because he's not likely to get the tag. And he's going to be more guaranteed to be that top 6 in your line.
But if you don't take Day and Dollars, then you'd be left a day short and $1. What's the saying?
Where are you going with that?
I was trying to tee myself up for an alley-oop. I was going to throw it down.
Mate, you fumbled that.
No, that was fumbled out of bounds. What even is the saying? A day late and $1 short. Have you heard that saying?
I had no idea where you were going with that. So you were on your own there.
Sorry, I've got to throw my own alley-oops here. You're not giving me any bloody good gear.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let's brush over that like it didn't happen.
All right, what else have we got next?
Constable to Hunt. Which Hunt brother would you be going?
Well, we haven't got Uric yet in the squad.
Perhaps?
So Mike, he's a bit dicey. He's known to.
Where are you going with this?
No. I was trying to
This is a proper shit show.
But yes, Hunt's fine.
Callahan to Stewart, I'd tick that off if you didn't already have Day.
I think it's fine to get Stewart in. I just think if you can get up to some of those big dog mids, I'd be going there. But Stewart, I guess, is still going to be your top 6 defender-ish. For the rest of the season.
So what's Laird's target to avoid a rage trade to Dacos next week? I don't think even if
you're holding Laird.
Yeah, don't look at trading Laird. The minute you trade Laird, you've flinched.
He's dropped 100k already. Like maybe there was an argument to trade him a couple of weeks ago, but you're holding him.
That for me would be a flinch. Don't flinch.
Stay patient.
Cheeky Warn Dog shout out. Did we give the Warn Dog a shout out?
Did we? I don't know. But anyway.
Shout out to Warn Dog. What a fucking legend.
Shout out to Warn Dog.
Good on you, Warn Dog. I don't think he'll be listening. He'll be busy at the minute, but thank you, Warn Dog, for all your support. What do we got? Fahey to Constable to get Finn Callahan to Tom Green. Sorry, it'll be Constable to Fahey, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd still be getting in Fahey if he's not named.
It seems like a weird one.
Yeah, because again,
you can probably get
there's other rookie options. I'd be trying to get a guy that's playing this week, get that cash in now. We don't want to have a risk of him.
What if you already have JBR and you want to do a downgrade?
There's still other guys that are names. Like there's another 200k.
But are you taking a shit guy whose names that you don't actually believe in long term, or are you thinking, okay, well, Fahey's that close to being named?
It's just a risk that I don't think is worth the potential payoff at this stage. So, I mean, like, are you going for like a Tyler Young from Richmond, who's another defender, 207k?
Key position.
Yeah, probably. Look, I'd be trying my best to spin the magnets around and do something else with that option.
Oh, I've just thought of something. Can we talk about Setterfield? I saw a tweet.
He's good to go.
He's good to go. Okay,
yes.
okay.
So,
thank you for confirming that.
From the coach's mouth, he has just been managed. I think apparently he got a corky in like round 2.
Because I was quietly shitting my pants.
Yes, no, I think he has been confirmed that he has been playing.
Okay,
he's playing. So at least what I've seen on Twitter. So that is good news.
Oh, Warndog gave us a shout out in his video.
Oh, well,
really?
Thank you, Warnie. That's very nice of you. So,
that's unreal.
Yeah. The big dogs,
Mate.
throwing one to the
young
little boys. So
just quietly, what do you think of Lairdy in the graphic here?
Yeah, well, he's.
Why are we still on the squad? We still got the big boys on the. I got to check. So we still got the big boys on the screen, and we weren't even talking about the big boys, but Lairdy.
I mean, we are the big boys.
Oh, so. The arrogance of this guy.
Me says the guy's ranked 26k right now. So.
Well, this week, onwards and upwards.
Let's take one more and let these people get over. I think there are a few other live shows happening at the moment, and let's get people ready for their trades. So one more question, and then we'll sign off here.
Yeah, let's do it. So,
what? You got one there?
Stuart, what do you think? Yeah, we've talked about Stuart. So you could go Stuart this week, or you could wait, anticipating the tag, see if Callahan, not if Callahan, I've done that twice now, see if McGuinness' name.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to go to Stuart, and look, it's a fine play, long term, but the other thing that I would encourage everyone to remind you is, like, Stuart will still be there or thereabouts in his price next week, and he's a perfectly good upgrade target then.
No, I agree with that.
So I think that you can trade him in this week if it's easy enough. You get him in, and you don't have to think about it anymore. But I would encourage everyone to explore their other options in all lines, midfield, defense, and otherwise, because I think that there's a high chance that it could go wrong. And Bergman are laid out. Oh, I think that will hit a few people with that loophole option as well. Might force a couple to play a Darcy Willman on the field. So I'll have to have a look at that one, but. That might do it for us today, guys.
That might do us, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
1K subscribers!
We got there, mate. How good's that?
Yes.
Sorry I didn't follow through on the shoey.
We'll do something else to celebrate next week.
Yeah, if you're still, prior to the first bounce today, if you're still looking for something to do, I think AFL Fantasy Fanatics is doing a live space over on Twitter.
Live spaces. We might even jump on there.
If you want to jump off here, jump straight on Twitter and do a live space.
I think the Hat Chat boys are doing a bit of streaming over on Twitch as well.
Awesome. So yeah, show some love to the whole community, because it really is a great community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, guys, if you haven't subscribed and you want to get us to 1,001 subscribers, go ahead and hit the subscribe button now. Give this live stream a big thumbs up. It'll help people who are looking at it later on in the week. And, again, good luck this week, guys. Hope your captain's fire. Hope your trades are rippers. And we'll catch you guys next time. Laters.